When I finish a first draft, I finish it, and I found myself telling, my kids and my wife, and I finish it, and now they kind of look at me, and my daughter will say, well, which draft?
You can't tinker with it anymore, but it's not out yet, and that for me is a very challenging period.
I've heard you talk about the grey area as well.
That's the juicy stuff, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? And the characters that live in grey. And you've written plenty of those.
Yeah, well, same.
Christian, great to catch up on Authors on Authors.
It's so good to be here with you, Tim. Weirdly, we were discussing just earlier that somehow we've never met.
No.
And we had books come out. Our first books came out at the same time, we've crossed paths, and we haven't crossed paths. We've crossed paths via other people.
So we've been circling each other for the last 8 years or something.
Yeah, so it took better reading to bring us together
on the pink seats.
Exactly.
So I've got a question for you up front. Like when you finish a book, do you have like a ritual or anything what do you do?
Usually I will. If I can, this is what I used to do. Before kids, I used to, and I did the same thing on my birthday. I would watch The Office. Oh. Spend a night watching The Office and order Indian food. That's my dream thing to do. Yep. And now I attempt to do the same thing, but now with a daughter, it's the truth is usually I'll finish it and then I'll go and do pick up, and then I'll tell my daughter, hey, I finished a book today, and she'll just have no interest and go, a big deal, and then tell me about her day. And so my rituals have changed for sure. But I don't even know if I ever feel like I want to ask you the same question. I actually don't know if I feel like I ever finish a book until really it's
so
out.
True.
Do you have rituals?
I think it's so true. When I finish a first draft, I finish it, and I found myself telling, my kids and my wife, and I finish it, and now they kind of look at me, and my daughter will say, well, which draft? When you say finished, does that mean it's going to come out soon? And then you're like, actually, you know what? I've just done a first draft, and I've probably got a really long way to go.
The first draft, though, the first draft for me is almost comparable to when the actual book comes out. It's this, it's done. It's a book. I need to do all of this work, and I need to make it feel like a book, and need to make it appear as though I'm actually a good writer, and I had everything planned from beginning. But having that sense of just completing that first draft is huge, and then it's not until the book comes out. And I was talking to someone recently, another author, about this, that there's this weird window of time where the book is finished, you've done the copy edit, all of that sort of stuff, but it's not released yet. It hasn't actually come out. And you might be in that moment, I don't know when this is going to be released, but you might be in that moment right now where you can't tinker with it anymore, but it's not out yet. And that for me is a very challenging period. But then as soon as it comes out, my shoulders drop and I exhale.
Yeah, me too. I think there's also an acknowledgement where you arrive, which is, it's never going to be perfect and define perfect. You can't. But I guess once I finish that first draft, going back to what we were talking about, then giving it to a trusted reader. And for me, that's my father-in-law. He's my first reader on everything.
Wow, that's so nice.
He would often read my books 3 or 4 times. Because he'll go through with a pencil as well. And he's actually quite good on plot. And he'll say, this doesn't quite add up here.
Which is what you need.
Yeah. So giving it to him, then I kind of wait, and I'm like, you're retired, it should take you a few days, but he's got life to do as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm sitting there going, when's he going to tell me?
And do you think, oh my God, he's read it, he hates it? I think it's really, because it can be dangerous, that sort of relationship. Because my first reader is my wife, and I think there's a danger in showing your work to someone who is close to you, but if you find that right person, it sounds like this is your father-in-law, that can tell you the good things, but also the things that aren't working. That is so valuable, because really that's the hardest thing, because you don't really know. Well, I don't know that I've got a book until some reads it and tells me it's a book. And I sort of skulk around. I'll print it out for her, and she'll be on the beanbag or something, and I'll skulk around and see where she's up to, and she'll forever be looking over her shoulder saying, "Leave me alone." And is it good? And she'll make a little sound. She'll and I go, what was that in reference to? So that's a special relationship.
Yeah, no, I'm really lucky there. But so for you, this book, it's really hard. Your latest book, for you with all of your books, to talk about them, because they have such, you're kind of known as the master of the twist, so you can't give it up.
Yeah, I'm always really vague.
But tell us a little bit about it, and how does it sit for you in the other standalones that you've written?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's as you say, any of my books are hard to pitch. I remember with my last book, The Ledge, the first person who asked me what it was about, I hadn't pre-prepared anything, so I just flat out lied. I just lied to them. I just came up with a lie and told them. So I've before I go out, I make sure I've got a way to say it, and the way I kind of phrase the pitch for this book is, it's about a long night. Believe it or not. Actually, I didn't even come up with that title. When I delivered the manuscript, it was called Book 5, and Kate, my publisher,
Good
said,
title.
yeah, maybe we'll change the title. And yeah, let's just call it A Long Night because it's about a long night. But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah. Anyway, what's it about?
Yeah.
It's about a long night. No, the way I say it is that it alternates between two perspectives, two women's perspective. You've got M, this 19-year-old woman who is kidnapped in the first chapter, and then Jodie, who is the mother who discovers her daughter has been kidnapped and just tries desperately to get to her. And because it's such a short time frame, it was both a challenge and so nice to write. All of my other 4 books are, take place over longer periods of time, and you can, you can cut away, you can jump forward in time when you need to. With this book, I sort of forced myself to sit in that tension, and it was actually really fun because when I think if you're telling a story that takes place between, 7 p.m. and dawn, and the stakes are high enough, then the characters can't be thinking about, bills and relationship dramas.
Yeah.
It's also urgent, which was a really which was a challenge to write, but also really fun. So I think that's what sets it apart from my other books. It's been marketed as the kind of the darkest, twistiest one, and that's true. It's much more. It's not horror, but it dips much closer to horror, which is a happy place for me.
Yeah.
And I think it. I don't know. It sort of caps this. This is going to segue into what is just a question I want to ask you, which is completely for me because I want to know. But it's sort of in my mind, it caps the first 5 standalones. I always wanted to write 5 standalones, and I'm sure I will write more. But I do want with my next books, I'm quite interested in tackling a series, and so that's why I want to ask you about. And it's tricky because I want to hear about this book, which is your first standalone. So I want to hear. You should do the pitch and tell me what made you want to do a standalone, but also what are the challenges and the good things about writing a series as well.
So my John Bailey series is 5 books that I've written in that already, and I just felt I needed a break from it. I mean, I love writing those characters. They are very real to me. So when I sit down, and you would find this, I'm sure, when you're writing characters, the more you get into the book, the more real they become. So particularly when bad things happen, it can be quite emotional. But so for me, I've got 5 books in with them, and I was like, I think they need a break from me, and I need a break from them. And that's where this idea came from, which was it's twin sisters. They've had a bit of a difficult childhood. Their father's a nasty man who ex-war sort of veteran and conspiracy theorist, and the 2 sisters in a way are kind of split by him. So one of them reacts to that situation by becoming a cop, and the other one follows their father into this life of crime and conspiracy theorists, sovereign citizens.
Such a good concept. It's such a good hook.
Oh, thanks. And so the sisters, Kit is the cop, and Billy McCarthy is her sister. They haven't seen or spoken to each other in 10 years. Kit doesn't even know where Billy is. Billy's been in the United States in the kind of living on a commune, Christian identity, kind of sovereign citizen movement, ends up being back in Australia, rings her sister, leaves a message saying someone's trying to kill her, she's got a young son, and then disappears. And this is the first that she's heard from her in 10 years. And Kit, her identical twin sister, is missing. She's determined to find her and find out what's going on. And she's riddled with guilt as well about the way their relationship broke down. And unfortunately for her, the only lead she has on trying to find her sister is her estranged father, who has turned into a white supremacist and is in prison. So he tells Kit, after a lot of toying with her, that Billy is somewhere in the New South Wales Riverina in those sort of Dust Bowl towns. So Kit goes looking for her. So I tell it from the 2 perspectives: Billy on the run and Kit looking for her,
which is great. And with the you've got white supremacy, sovereign citizen movement. All of your previous books, there's often global politics and all of that sort of stuff. How do you or do you balance that sort of when how truthful you are, and when you sort of pull back, and when do you shift things around for the story? How do you manage all that sort of stuff?
Look, everything in my books either has happened, will happen, or could happen. I always kind of write by that, and I research my books like a journalist. I was a journalist for 25 years, so I'm talking to ex-cop in the US who's a specialist in counter-terrorism, gave me some really good advice, gave me some good things to read, good leads, and I could check some things with him. Also got cops that I talk to here as well. So for me, I'm really interested in shining a light into the darkness, and that leads you, particularly at the moment, particularly the last 20 years, is extremism. So I explore that in my other books as well, spy thrillers as well sometimes. So, but I'm really interested in that grey world. Yeah. And I've heard you talk about the grey area as well.
That's the juicy stuff, isn't it?
Isn't it? And the characters that live in grey. And you've written plenty of those.
Yeah, well, same, you too. And I think it's that sort of, I don't find it particularly interesting to read, characters in the a good guy or a bad guy or anything. And the best characters occupy this middle grey space.
They're human.
They're human, exactly. Yeah, and that's what what's always driving me is what would I do in this situation, and how far would I need to be pushed if to compromise my morality, and how far would I compromise that depending on what was going on. In this book, this mother trying to get to her daughter, and I thought a lot about my own daughter and thinking, how far would you go? And you've got kids. It's like, you would do anything. You would become this kind of violent monster in service of the people you love. And I really like that kind of that sort of juicy stuff.
Well, there's a question for you on that then. How has being a parent changed you as a storyteller, or made you a better storyteller?
It's weird. I think firstly, I will never write a book. My first book is about a little girl who goes missing. I can't do that now. Yeah. In fact, even in this one, the previous book was dedicated to my daughter's Ayliffe, and she was happy with that, but she said in the next one she wants a character named after her. So there is a character named after her in this book, but originally it was the kidnap victim, and my wife read it and she said, you have to change that name, because she couldn't relax. And that's how I feel about reading things with missing kids, and dogs and stuff. I'm the same. I get really tense. So now, in a nuts and bolts way, it's changed what I write about. But I think if you look at my last two books, that my first three books were without kids, and my last two books are with kids, and I think and this was unintentional, like they're much more emotional and much more about parenthood, and I think The Ledger is about fathers and sons, and this book's about mothers and daughters. So I think it really I don't know, it completely changes everything. I remember being in this when you do a book tour and you spend all this time in strange hotel rooms alone, and I go a bit batty, and I remember drawing these concentric circles as a way to kind of prioritize my life. And when you have a kid, it's that center. You put it right in the middle, and I think that helps you. It helps you as a writer, but it also helps you as a human being, because I might go to this event and there'll be all these people saying really lovely things about me, and then I'll go home and my daughter will fart on me, and all of a sudden I'm just the dad again, And I think that's so important, and I love that, and I really think about myself as a dad. If I describe myself, would be a dad, and and did you find that change? I mean, you got teenage kids.
Yeah, big time. Well, my daughter's she'll turn 16 in January, and my son 14, and I think I learned a lot more about human connection.
Yeah.
And the stakes feel higher in life. Yeah. For me, being a father, and I mean, it's the best thing I've ever done, and but it really helped me grow as a writer. I actually think I'm a much better writer because I've got the kids, and not necessarily saying you need to have children to be a good writer. That's certainly not what I'm saying. No. But just for me personally, for me to be able to write character and how characters relate, when there's children in it, how they relate, and it's also the way they talk to each other.
Absolutely,
and it's all, and you find that with writing for television, right? When screenwriting.
Yeah. So I'm always listening to how people talk and how the power shifts in conversations, and I could actually I really struggle to to write kids before I had a kid. Now I can write an 8-year-old so well because I know exactly what their interests are and what they're talking about. And actually, I have something that I don't know how much we're allowed to talk about, but while on the subject of screen, I believe there's some sort of upcoming screen deal thing that you may or may, I don't know how much you can divulge, but whatever you can.
I can talk a little bit about it. It's been a long time, as you know, these things take a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've sold the screen rights to Dark Desert Road as well, which is really exciting.
Great.
But I don't think they'll be on screens anytime soon. It takes a very long time.
It's this weird thing you think, you think, oh, okay, it's happening now. It's happening. I've done the option, and then years pass.
It's a hurry up and wait situation constantly. It's like, I got it. What happens now? Well, in about 3 or 4 years' time.
Yeah.
So look, the John Bailey series is, most of the episodes are written.
So good.
And I'm in the writer's room as a story consultant with CJZ. Blake Ashford's a screenwriter who's just wonderful and really collaborative and so I'm thrilled because I'm quite involved.
Yeah.
But I'm also letting the screenwriting team have their creativity, and also they'll say, look, we're going to go this way with this because we feel it's needed. I was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the book,
That's
but it's
what
going to make
ask,
it better.
I was going to ask how you find that process, but what?
Look, it's slightly confronting sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, it's my baby. But really early on, in my discussions with them and then talking to some other people around it, like some advice I was given, and I guess I understood this in a way myself, having worked in and around TV for a long time as a journalist, that it has to have its own life on the screen. So what I've always really wanted is the essence of the books and the essence of the characters is all still there. So literally it's John Bailey's world, but the stories will shift here and there to make it sing.
It's because I've been on the other. I've adapted a few other people's books. And
did you do one of JP Pomare's?
No. Eventually, I'll do that, and I'll just to kind of, if I can get into that position, I'll just to hold that power over him. That would be brilliant. I'm gonna change the character's name. For no reason.
I would love to be listening in on those conversations.
Yeah, but I've been in rooms. Adapting people's work when the author there and when they're not, and it's a tricky thing because the book it could be perfect as a book, but you just have to change. Maybe you have to generate new stories. You have to take it in different directions. Things need to be visualized, and it is could definitely be a confronting sort of process. I kind of get it. I want to ask you about journalism, and I'm sure you get asked about this all the time. But what was that shift from journalism into that sort of non-fiction into fiction? What was behind that, and how did you find that that change in that mindset, or is it similar, or is it different?
I knew I wanted to be a writer when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So really, I was this sort of struggling writer that was trying to come out, in a way. But journalism for me. I loved it. I was a journalist for 25 years, left the ABC a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it gave me a really good grounding in how to research, basically, because I always try to. I think the best crime novels for me are always, they feel very real.
You feel that in your books. You feel the detail. You feel it's real, and you sort of trust that.
Yeah, I think sometimes it allows you. And I found this with your books as well, that the truth can get you, fiction can get you close to the truth as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're exploring something, whether it's actually about people or whether it's about an issue.
Yeah.
It's the same in principle in a way. So look, my day job was like research for me. I was just stacking up the ideas while I was a journalist. And then when I finally started writing the first in the John Bailey series, that was around 2013, I just loved it.
Yeah.
It was liberating for me. And to be able to write character and explore writing in a whole different way to journalism, that big show don't tell.
Yeah.
I just loved. I loved putting words in people's mouths to have, great conversations or arguments or whatever.
That's so good.
It's like liberating for me.
This is a good segue. Speaking of conversations, we've been given we've got to wrap this one up. But I could talk. You might not have seen it because you don't have your glasses, but we're getting the wrap up. But I could do this for the rest of the day. But it's been so good meeting you and chatting and all of that stuff. So yeah, thanks for doing this, and thanks Better Reading for having us.
Christian, it's been great fun, and thanks Better Reading.